Shalom, more praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, the blind to the apostles GMS. This is Annawa Allah coming at you another video. And in this video, I'm going to be dealing with the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as the book of Sirach in the Apocrypha, about counsel. Matter of fact, before I get to this first scripture, let me get to some other scriptures real quick. First, let me give Proverbs 11-14. When no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. So where there's no counsel, you can fall. In other words, if a person doesn't seek good sound advice, which is counsel, then they can cause them to fall. Whatever situation that they need counsel for can end up not going so well for them because they didn't seek proper advice to know how they should be able to engage in that particular situation. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. See, in the multitude of counselors, there is safety because you're given different viewpoints by different people. You're given different types of advice. Everybody giving you their perspective. And they can be giving you different perspectives based upon their own experience so that you can understand how to best engage in a certain situation. It's like a person seeking a business and you don't have any skill at it. You just try to do it on your own. Well, guess what? You may need some advice. You try to do it on your own, your business venture may fail. But if you get a couple of people, 5, 6 people who have experience, then it could work. It may work. It's like going to a lawyer for a consultation. You're getting counsel. So this is just an example. So counsel is good, right? Now you look here in Sirach 6:6. So I wanted to give you any other scriptures that I could give about counsel. That's just one. But here it says, Ecclesiasticus 6:6, be in peace with many, and nevertheless have one counselor of 1,000. So at the same time, it's good to have many counselors. But at the same time, it's good to have one counselor of 1,000. Because if you have multitudes of counselors, then you can go and seek out advice from different people. Seek out advice from different people or ideas from different people, hoping that you hear an idea that's pleasing unto you. Because maybe that one counselor gave you, told you to do something, and you went against it because you didn't like what was said. So you say, you know what, let me go around and ask somebody else. So hopefully they give me a better answer. In other words, you want to be told something that's pleasing to your flesh. Meaning you want to be told something that pleases you as opposed to the right thing. As opposed to what was initially told to you because that's not something you really wanted to do. That's not wise. If one person tells you this, you don't go around and then go to another person so they can tell you something different. You don't want to do that because that's being sneaky. You know? It's like a child, you know. Let's say your mother said you can't play the game. But then you go to your father and ask your father, can you play the game? And then your mother come in the room and see you playing the game. Well, you basically went around your mother to go to your father. Now that could sow discord and cause contention between both of the parents. Because one parent said no and the other parent said yes. And now when the parents see you, that told you no, see you doing what they told you not to do, now the issue's going to be between them. Well, why'd you say let him do this when I told him no? Well, I didn't know that. Then now it's going to come right back on you. Well, if she told you this, then why would you go and ask me if she already told you that? You know what I'm saying? That's not wise. That's really being sneaky. That's really being a nigga. Really. Not supposed to be doing that. Going around and getting going around behind people so that you could be told something that's delightful unto you because the initial order or the initial advice that was given unto you, you didn't like it. And it's really only because it wasn't pleasing to your carnal desires, to what you really wanted. You know? It's like if a person is telling you, you know, if you're running late for work and you know you've been running late these past few weeks and they're getting on you about it, you know, what you should do is, instead of just showing up late without telling them, call them or text them, let them know you're gonna be running a little bit late. That way, at least you told them beforehand. You know? But instead of listening, you know, You thinking about that. I don't want to call them and tell them I'm late because then they're going to be mad at that. So instead, you go and ask somebody else something, and they tell you, brother, just show up. You late, you late. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And you could call them and tell them. You could text them and let them know you're running late. And then you're going to show up anyway, late. And you choose to take that advice because really, you just didn't want to call them or text them. You just didn't want to do it. You just didn't want to do it. You just chose to show up late. Maybe you'll be nervous to call them. You'll know they're going to say. Maybe if you're nervous to text them, you might think, well, they probably going to call you or text you back and tell you, well, if you're late, don't come. But if I show up to work, they ain't going to tell me to leave. So I'm going to go and do that. You understand what I'm saying? You trying to go around the initial advice that was given to you, which is really the right thing. Because you really want to do your own thing. Because of pride and because of arrogance and selfishness. 2 Timothy 3:3. 3:2. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemous, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truth breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. Here's the point. I want to just want to get straight to the point. Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High. Now it said heady. What does it mean to be heady?
Strong's G 4312. Propetes.
To fall forwards, headlong, sloping, precipitously, precipitate, rash, reckless. Falling forwards. Okay? Let me see some. Now you look at that word precipitous. To hasten the occurrence of, bring about prematurely, hastily, or suddenly. Go to Merriam-Webster real quick. It says, let's see. Did I click on the right thing? Bear with me 1 second. Here you go right here. Precipitate, right? Go right down. It says mean, showing undue haste or unexpectedness. You're doing something hastily, but it's not, that's undue, it's not necessary. Stresses lack of due deliberation and implies prematureness of action. So it's a premature action. You're acting prematurely. Why? Because you're showing a lack of deliberation, a lack of judgment, a lack of analyzing, a lack of assessing the situation. You have to deliberate. Doesn't the jury deliberate before they say someone is guilty or not guilty? You're supposed to deliberate. You're supposed to look at what's being given unto you to make your decision. Look at what you're being told. Look at the evidence that's being placed before you make that decision. Before you do something in haste. Let me think about it first. That's what you're supposed to do. Because you can never think, you got to take into account the possible consequences of your actions. All right? And the word high-minded, that basically just means to be prideful. 2 Peter 2:10. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh and the lust of uncleanness and despise government, presumptuous are they, self-willed. They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. I'm going to go to that word presumptuous. That word presumptuous means, should mean to go beyond what's permitted.
Strong's G 5113.
Talmetes. A daring man. Shameless and irreverent daring. Let me see something real quick. Presumptuous. Adjective, full of, characterized by, or showing presumption or readiness to presume in conduct or thought, as by saying or doing something without right or permission. So doing something without right or permission. Okay? Which is basically what I said earlier. Going beyond what's permitted. So if you're getting counsel from one person, then you don't got to go and get counsel from a bunch of other people. You can, but you got to take into account what's the real reason why you're doing it. Are you doing it because you want to hear something that's delightful into your own ears? You got itching ears? Is that the reason why you're doing it? Or are you doing it because you really just want the right answer? I'm sorry, you really want to answer. Yeah, because you really want the right answer. You got to ask yourself these questions before you do things like that. And that's a battle between your flesh and your spirit. You got to take into account, well, you know what? Nah, that's really just me being carnal right there. You got to take that into account, man. You know? St. John 12:3. Then Mary, let me see. All right. Then Mary took a pound of ointment of spikenard very costly, and anointed the feet of Yahushua, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. Then saith one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which should betray him. Why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? Then he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief and had the bag and bare what was put therein. So he didn't say, why this wasn't sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? It wasn't like he said this ointment should have been sold and given to poor people because they may need it. No, he's saying it should have been sold really because it's worth 300 pence and he wanted that money. But he's making it appear as if it's actually for the poor. So he's trying to use manipulation right there. You know, it's like when a person, family member or friend get money and they say, yo, you don't look out for nobody. I need help with this. I need help with that. Well, really, you don't need help with anything. You just making it appear as if you need help financially because you really want that person to give you money to satisfy whatever materialistic desires that you have. That's what Judas Iscariot was doing, making it appear as if it should have been sold to the poor. But in reality, he wanted the money to cater to his own materialistic desires because it said he was a thief. But because he was a thief and had the bag and bare what was put therein, so he had the bag that had money in it, and he bare what was put therein. So he stole some money out. So Yahushua and disciples had to have had like a bag that contained, money for whatever supplies that they may have needed, whether they was gonna go and buy this or buy that, whatever it may have been. And Judas Iscariot was a thief, but that's an example of somebody wanting to do their own thing, or somebody falling prey to their own carnal desires. Okay, that's like a person that's not advising counsel, that's not taking into account counsel. This isn't an exact situation like somebody was giving him counsel in this particular aspect, in this particular situation here. But at the same time, as a matter of fact, I could get a scripture on that. But at the same time, he was doing that because he was carnal. Yeah, I gotta scroll down. Didn't say Yahushua, let her alone, leave her alone. Against the day of my burying have she kept it. This is for my burial. For the poor always you have with you, but me you have not always. So you always got the poor with you, but you're not gonna have me with you always. So don't worry about the poor right now. Because the poor you're gonna always have with you. They're gonna always be in need, but I'm not gonna always be here with you physically. But Judas Iscariot wanted to do his own thing. So this is an example. He wants to go and he wanted that ointment to be sold so that he can get the money. But then Yahushua had to check him and say, yo, don't worry about that. But inwardly, Judas still wanted to do that. Why? Because later on he wound up betraying the Lord for 30 pieces of silver. So he still had that spirit in him. Because he wanted to do his own thing. So this is, just like I explained earlier, like a situation where he was giving counsel and went against it. First, he said it could have been sold and given to the poor, but then the Lord had to check him. But then later on he went and in that carnal nature still sprang forth in him. Scripture tell you Satan had entered him when you read about it. So he still wanted that money. He wanted to do his own thing. Disregarded the counsel. And that eventually cost Judas Iscariot his life. Now Judas has become, like, the name Judas has become an adjective. You know, like if a person is a traitor, you call him a Judas. That's what his action is caused. He didn't take these things into account. So when you giving counsel, you got to take heed to that. Don't go around saying, I'm going to go ask this person, I'm going to go ask that person, or this person, until I get somebody to give me the answer that I really want. And then when you go into that person, you telling them, you probably not even telling them what the other person said. Yeah, I asked so and so and so, and he said so and so and so and so. Because now if you aren't even saying that, now it definitely looks like you being sneaky, you know? Because you aren't even letting that person know that you asked somebody else and they said something differently. Why is that? Because you know if you told that person that somebody else said it, somebody else said not to do this, then they might say, well, you know, if that person said it, you know what I mean, that may be the best thing. Because, you know, that makes sense. You know? A lot of people out there just weak, man. That's just really what it is. You got these carnal desires and you can't fight that flesh because your spirit not strong enough, because you're not fasting and praying. Proverbs 12:15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. So that's simple, self-explanatory. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes. So in a fool's own mind, he perceives that he's right. He thinks that he's correct, but he's a fool. He's not correct. He doesn't have sound judgment. But he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. You got to hearken unto the advice that's given unto you. Because if you think you're right in your own eye by saying, well, he told me this, but I'm going to go and do that, it's because you think that action is right in your own eyes. And then it ends up falling back on you. Because that person may be giving you something that's genuine, but that might not be what's best for the situation, for your particular situation. And it winds up biting you when you're behind. And then after the fact, you think, I should have just listened to X, Y, and Z. So you're not supposed to do that. Go around seeking a bunch of different counsel until you get an answer that you want to get. An answer that's pleasing unto you. That's why the scripture speak about that. It says, heaping unto themselves, scripture says, teachers having itching ears. When you got an itch, you scratch it so it can go away. So you desire for that itch to go away. So a teacher having an itch in the ears is somebody who has ears that's desiring things to be heard. The way a person itches and they scratches because they desire for that, have a strong desire for that itch to go away. An itching ear is a person that has a strong desire to hear things that's pleasing to their ears. They just want to hear something that sounds good to them, whether it's even if it's wrong. So those are some more scriptures I wanted to get to, but it was about 15 verses. This show went longer than I expected. So with that, I'm going to close and say, all praise to Yahweh, Shemiah, Shad, double honor to the Apostle GMS. I hope you learned something. Shalom.